Okay, so the one we're going to be talking about this morning is concealed cisterns, and I'm sure you guys have all sold some, and yeah, they beautiful. But why? Why would we use a concealed cistern instead of a normal cistern? Everybody's very scared of having a tank in the wall that you can't see. They say you can't service it afterwards or anything like that. But hopefully today we'll be able to show you guys that you can. It's just as serviceable as any other system. So a couple of reasons why you would use it. Obviously, if you look at the picture there on the left-hand side, you can see there's a lot of more, it's greater aesthetics. It looks better. You don't have this tank sitting outside. And because you don't have a tank sitting in front of the wall, your pan is now closer to the wall, and hence it's a bit of a space saving there. You're saving at least about 250, 300 millimeter. And these days, in some of the bathrooms, you need that extra little bit of space. We do also have it in a variety of different actuators, but we'll go through that. So on the right-hand side picture, you'll see that's typical how it is in the wall. Behind that tile surface, that's what you're actually seeing. So there's three different ways of doing it. You can either have it on a double wall, like in the total left-hand picture, where you've chopped out the front wall, and you will see the little tabs next to the cistern that you would fix on the rear wall and then cement it up. Or, for instance, under a windowsill, where you've got a false buttress wall or something like that, you could still fasten it on the rear wall and then just build a false wall to give you that depth, because obviously if you've got a single brick wall and you chase into that, there's absolutely no strength left on there. If they don't want to chase very wide for whatever reason, you'll see on the right-hand side, you can actually chase it narrower, but just as deep still. But instead of having the tabs going towards the back, you would then now face them to the front. So you've fastened onto the front of that wall. When they do that, they're just going to have to make sure that they tile a little bit thicker, plaster thicker over that, just to hide that extra depth there. When you get your cistern, it's all disassembled. Okay, the inside of the cistern is all there, but your brackets and your pipes and so forth are all packed in the box. So everything that you need to install that cistern is inside the box. And if you look on the right-hand side, this is what it's going to look like when you've assembled everything onto it. On the right-hand side, you'll see the mesh that I've now put on the front of the cistern. And that's very important, because if they don't put that on and they tile over the front, your lines where the plaster or the brickwork meets up to the cistern, it's going to crack there. So that mesh is meant as a tiling mesh. So you would then put it in front of the cistern, plaster over it, and then it's going to prevent any cracking between the wall and the cistern there. When they mount the brackets on the side of the cistern, there are a whole lot of different screws in the packet, but they must make sure that they use the short one. It's like a little 12 millimeter screw, and use that for fastening the bracket onto the frame. Otherwise, they are going to penetrate the tank and it is going to leak. So first step then obviously is you would put your cistern in, mark where the screw holes are, drill it, and then your anchor that is also supplied in the box would then go in. So the hole depth has to be at least 65 millimeters. Then the holes at the bottom, that is where your bolts or mounting kit for the wall hung cistern screws in. You don't have to use a wall hung cistern with this. If you want a floor standing or anything like other pan, you can do if you want. But the common way of doing it is with putting a concealed cistern with a wall hung pan. And on the right hand side there, you can see now all the screws have been inserted and so forth. Just as a quick one, a lot of people are afraid that the pan's not going to hold their weight because it's only these two little bolts and it's built into the wall and everything. But the cistern is rated to carry 400 kilograms. Now, I don't think any two people together on the pan is going to get to 400 kilograms. If a person does weigh 400, he's not going to be able to get up and walk to the toilet in any case. So I think we're quite safe with that weight rating on there. At the moment, these cisterns only have a top inlet water connection. From the next shipment that we are receiving, there will be a dual inlet. You'll have the option either of top or side inlet. So that is something definitely to look forward to. Once your system has now been installed, you unclip that flat cover and don't throw it away. You have to put it back afterwards, and I'll explain to you now. Once you've opened that up, you can then bring the filler hose to the outside of the system and make sure that the line is flushed. Flush it for about a minute, just to make sure that any dirt in the pipeline has now been cleared. And also, the reason why you flush it for so long is because sometimes there's dirt further down the line that now has to be moved closer to the end. Otherwise, your inlet valve is going to get blocked up and it's going to start leaking and not shut off. On the bottom, you see it says replace the components in their original position, and it includes that flat plate. The reason for that flat plate is once there's water in the tank, condensation does happen. If you do not put that back, the condensation is going to form on the back of the actuator plates and going to run down on the front of the tiles and leave streaky water marks. So you don't want that at all. Once you've now put that all together, you'll see there's a box. So you clip it over and make sure that you hear it clipping. Then the function of that is to give you a tiling edge. So that's a tiling box or tiling guide, whatever you want to call it. So you would tile up against that. Also make sure that you put all the caps over the flush pipe and the drain pipe, just to make sure that no mortar or anything gets into there while they are busy building it and plastering it. There on the right-hand side, obviously, they've now built it all in. Once they tile up against that tiling box, and you'll see on the right-hand picture, it says a maximum of 3 millimeters. So you can tile right up against that box. Mustn't be more than 3 millimeters gap that they leave there, because otherwise your actuator plate is not going to cover the gap that is left there. Once you've done all that, now the tiling is done, you can unclip the front of that tiling guide and then cut it back to up against the tiles. That gives you a beautiful clean edge then now that your tiles are up against. You would then assemble your actuator plate onto it. And remember, the actuator plate does not come with a system. You have to actually select, and we've got a selection of actuator plates that will go through the different styles and so forth just now. You would then remove all your little plugs and the flush pipes, etc., so that you can now connect the toilet to it. It is always a good idea to, at the back of the toilet, before you put it onto the bolts, just put a thin bead of silicone on there. Not only does it prevent any dust and stuff from falling into the back of it or liquid when you're cleaning, but I've sat on some toilets, wall-hung toilets, and you hear it creaking, and I think that's why some people are worried that it's not going to take their weight. But what actually happens is there's minuscule movement, and it grates the toilet pan against the tiles. And you put that little bead of silicone, and it just prevents that from happening. So it's just a bit of user comfort and reassurance. There your pan is now installed. You can see there's a beautiful little lifestyle picture, and I'm sure you guys have all seen them installed before. For actuator plates, we've got the 3 different colors. We've got the white, the chrome, and the black. and it comes in 3 different patterns. You get the vertical squares, 2 circles, and then the horizontal squares. It comes with a dual flush. Your cistern can be adjusted from a 9 to, I think it's a 6 liter for the full flush, and then your half flush is normally about 3.5 liters, which is the standard. It's not adjustable. Guys, that's my story on concealed cisterns. I don't know if anybody has got any questions.
Patrick, I've got one. You said
Yes,
that we can use the concealed cistern with a floor pan as well.
yes.
You would just then put it lower.
Yeah, the pan would then be up against the floor, and your flush pipe that comes out, you will just make sure that that comes out at the right height then. Obviously, you're not going to use the pan connector side of the system because your pan is going to be quite a bit lower, so that you would just use a normal pan pipe through the wall.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys, any other questions? Nothing. If you don't want to raise a question because you think you're stupid or it's a dumb question, there is no such thing. But if you want to, you guys all got my number. You're welcome to contact me and I'll try and answer any questions that you guys have. So guys, yeah, go and have a good one. Have a good weekend. I don't know what the weather's like down in Cape Town, but it's getting nice and cold here in Joburg. So I think we're looking at a nice weekend indoors. A good one.